This is spring. It's snow raining. It's the end of March here in Ontario. My zone is about 6A, 6B, and I came outside in this weather to tell you about a tropical plant that you can grow because I grow this in my garden easily. It doesn't take a lot of fuss. I get a huge harvest. This is a loofah sponge. And if you wet it down, this squeezes. It's great in the shower. I love it for scrubbing dishes. It really gets in there, gets all that gunk off. And when you're done with it, it's compostable. It's a lovely plant for your garden. And even if you live in a colder zone like me, not tropical at all, you can still have a very successful harvest. I'm going to tell you how to do it. The number one thing you really have to do when you're growing loofah gourds in a colder climate, you have to start it inside because they need a lot of time in the sun as a mature plant in order to produce these loofah gourds. So about 4 to 6 weeks before my last frost date, I'm going to start these seeds inside. The seeds look like your typical kind of squash seeds. They're flat on one side and skinny and sort of pointy on the other side. If you can plant them sideways, some people think that gives you a little bit of an edge. I don't think it makes that much of a difference, but if you can put them in whatever seed starting mix you're using, about 2 to 3 times as deep as the seed is tall in this orientation, then that is the way to get started. Because it's a tropical plant, your seeds are going to do better if you can give them a little bit of heat. If you have a seed mat that pumps out a little bit of heat, you can put your seed starting mix on top of that. If not, you can use something like the top of a refrigerator. Just a little bit of bottom heat will help these to germinate. And then very quickly, you'll find the seedling gets kind of big, so it will require potting up when you're inside. And what that means is if you start it in a little bit of soil, it's going to need a larger bit of soil, a larger container, before it's going to be ready to move outside. You can check out my video on how to make newspaper pots at home for a really economical, climate-friendly way to make pots for your seedlings that need to be potted up before they go out. Before it's ready to go out in the garden, it's good to get your loofah plants used to being outside in a process called hardening off. You can put them outside in a sheltered location at first for only about an hour when it's at least 15 degrees out during the day, and gradually have them outside in a little bit more wind, a little bit more sun as the plants get used to outdoor conditions. And then when there's no risk of frost, and ideally when your evening temperatures are at least 10 degrees overnight, you're ready to put your plant in the garden. Loofah plants love to climb. So if you have a big container you're putting outside, make sure that you put it next to a railing or something that it can climb, or a nice sturdy trellis if you're putting it out in the garden. Like I use this arbor often. It's normal for loofah plants to not really like being moved outside, even if you've done an excellent job of hardening them off and getting them used to outdoor conditions. When I put my loofah plants in the ground, I expect they may just hang out and look like they're not doing anything for a month. But just you wait, then they will take off. And ideally, they will start to make little flowers and little baby loofah plants. Now these first little baby loofah plants, make sure that you leave them alone. Don't pick them to eat them. They are edible, but these are the ones that are most likely to give you the best sponges because they will be on the plant for the longest. If later on in the season, like end of July or in August, you want to start eating some of your smaller loofahs, you can. When they're about the size of a small cucumber, you can cut them off and treat them just like zucchini. They don't taste as good as zucchini, so I'm a little bit over it, but it is really fun to try it out. Late setting fruit on your loofah gourd aren't going to become sponges. There's just not enough growing season. And they are going to drain energy away from your loofah plant, making the pre-existing fruit into sponges. So once you get to about 60 days before your first frost date, you actually have to start pinching off the babies. You can put them in your compost, you can eat them, but don't let the plant put too much energy into them because you'll pay for it in fewer mature loofah sponges at the end of the season. But the very first loofahs, the ones that are setting in early July in particular, are going to make your sponges. So just let them do their thing and keep them on the vine all the way, if you can, until they turn brown and the skin is wrinkled and pulling away from the gourd. That's when they're ready to harvest and to peel. I find it's a little easier to peel them when there's just a little hint of moisture left in the loofah gourd. It just slides off very satisfyingly, but you can wait until it's completely brown and crispy. If your frost is coming and your loofahs aren't quite ready, if they're still green, they don't seem like you could peel them, then don't leave them out in the frost. Harvest them, bring them inside, do your best to put them in a dry, well-ventilated area until they do turn brown, and then you'll probably be able to save the sponges. And then when you have them, all the seeds are inside, so I just shake them out. Save your seeds for next year, as long as you don't have anything that might have cross-pollinated with the loofah, which is rare. And the sponges will keep for years. One plant will easily give me 15 loofah sponges in a year. So that is a wonderful way that I can grow plants that are useful around the house for more than just eating. If you're in Ontario or a similar area, I hope you give it a try. Get some loofah seeds, start them out now. I'd love to hear a comment about how it's gone for you. However your garden grows, keep growing as a gardener. More props.